Might as well, under the sound of our voices right here in the studio, get across YouTube and Facebook. Do well to subscribe on YouTube at Eagles FM Abuja and on Facebook at Eagles FM Abuja. And it is going to be an experience that you indeed can count on. Little wonder we pride ourselves as Eagles, right? So this is the political and current affairs brogue show. We call it the Eagles Outlook, where we put out an outlook, into political affairs. And as I always love to say it, the power is in the people and politics is what we address. My name is Uduak Daniel.
And I am Omoife Peace Osemere. It feels good to be back in the studios.
Exactly.
And would like to believe that you had a great time with Vicky Vic on sports on Eagles Wings.
More so. Sports on Eagles Wings had come and gone. But then it's time to talk about the daily activities of our politicians, as well as our leaders, as well as ourselves. Because when we talk politics, we're not just talking about a section of people, we're talking everybody.
Right.
Because it's an all-inclusive ideology or theme that must be seen as such. But then it does feel so unlikely, the fact that quite a number of people have identified it to be a gender conversation. It's only been male, they're the ones that should talk politics. And yet, just recently, we saw on the dailies while we were surfing the net about the price of an increment in the price of commodity, especially in Abuja, still skyrocketing. I mean, and this affects each and every one of us.
Well, that aside, we also have, the female gender pushing for equal rights or equality in the political space.
Sure.
But when it comes to political discourse, just like we have on the Eagles Outlook, we have more of men calling in to share their thoughts. And it's a trend that we're not really comfortable with.
That's right.
But quite frankly, Bibi Blessing, she's been doing her best
and
to represent the female gender.
Yes.
But I think we need to do more.
So we want to appreciate you, Bibi Blessing, Ochanya, and Salome, for every once in a while adding your voice, and encourage you to, as a female, to also bring in your voice, because even on the show this morning is not just a male conversation. There's a male and a female, myself and Omoife. Well, we will delve very quickly into the discourse, a prosecution of election offences and its impact on democracy. Yes, quite a number of persons have come out to saying that there is a need for prosecution of election offences, especially with the democracy that we are practicing.
Right.
And even though we practice democracy, some have also come out to finger the type of democracy that we are practicing, saying that we are not practicing the democracy that is true. And it makes us wonder again, or reflect our minds back on a show that we had where our guest came in here and said there's nothing like true federalism. Federalism is federalism.
The funny thing, I came across that true federalism thing again last week on Friday, whilst taking a look at the front pages of Nigerian newspapers, and I had to refer to what that resource person, Dr. Ibrahim Shatambaya,
yes.
And he said there is no such thing as true federalism.
So if we say we are practicing democracy, then we should practice democracy in toto.
Right.
In other words, we should practice it within context, within confines, within the ambit of what it preserves and it pursues, and make sure that this democracy is spread amongst each and every one of us, because that, and only then can we be able to say that government is indeed of the people, for the people, and by the people.
Right.
But the slow pace of election offense prosecutions in Nigeria has been a recurring, issue. I mean, according to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, the commission has been working to addressing this challenge. Now, it might also suffice to add that electoral, offenses have been a major concern in Nigeria's electoral process, and despite efforts to prosecute offenders, the process has been very, very slow.
That's right, and just so you know that the concerns that you express on radio, on TV, across social media platforms, year in, year out, they're not falling on deaf ears.
That's right.
Because I know very well that family members have over time, frowned at the slow pace of prosecuting, election offenders. Now, the INEC chairman, just to let you know that indeed they listen, he has come out, to attribute, and when I say the INEC chairman, I'm referring to Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, he has attributed the slow pace of election offense prosecutions to the fact that the electoral offenses are not time bound. Now that actually affects the speedy dispensation of justice. Well, Yakubu's comment or statement further highlights the need for a thorough examination of the electoral process and laws governing it, because when you say that the prosecution of these offenses are not time bound, and Nigerians are expecting that offenders are prosecuted almost immediately after the crime is committed, that way that confidence will be there, because that trust will be there because across boards rather, there is this trust deficit. And the people think that people can actually do things and go scot-free, unchecked. They will not be held accountable. And it's not to say that we don't have the laws in place. We have the provisions, for offenses like this to be dealt with. But why the slow pace? Is it that there is no harmony, there is no synergy between, the electoral umpire and the justice system or the judiciary in terms of, addressing these issues? And I know the conversation around having special courts, for the prosecution of electoral, or election offenders, that conversation is one that has actually been on the front burner for some time now. But let's quickly bring in a personal story. Well, imagine a young Nigerian eager to exercise their right to vote, but faced with the reality of electoral malpractices. The witness vote buying, intimidation, and violence, which consequently undermines the integrity of the electoral process. Now, this personal story illustrates the human impact of election offenses and the need for swift prosecution. We've recorded, voter apathy over the years. People say, my vote is not going to count. Well, what's the point of me going out? Aside the heavy security presence that people actually think is quite scary for them, and for that reason, they would want to go out to cast their vote. Those who are even willing to go out to cast their vote, regardless of the heavy security presence that we always have almost all of the time, they see people, trying to manipulate the whole process, snatching, ballot boxes, inducing voters, and acts like this, not necessarily going unchecked, but the prosecution, the pace is quite slow. So one would say, well, my vote is not going to count after all. So what's the point going out to risk my life?
But that's the thing. Voting should not even be an exercise that should allow anybody risk their lives. If there is any risk that anybody is supposed to go through, it should be the risk of decision making, and not literally the risk of your life, that you will lose your life when going to exercise your constitutional franchise. But then again, some perspective views have also been seen from some stakeholders. The Dr. Abiola Akiyode Folabi, who says the slow pace of election, and I quote now, offense prosecutions is a major concern, and it undermines the credibility of the electoral process and discourages citizens from participating. Now, that's what he's got to say. Now, Mr. Clement Nwankwo also had said the Electoral Commission must work with the judiciary to establish special courts. You made mention of that earlier, Amo, for election offenses. And he went on to saying that this will help to speed up the prosecution process. And then we also see yet another stakeholder now, Ms. Idayat Hassan, saying election offenses are a threat to democracy. Now the government must take decisive action to prosecute offenders and ensure that electoral process is free and fair. Well, we have a guest who's going to be joining us via phone call this morning. He is one who has been, in the within the ambit of governance and governmental offices, and is still there, making an impactful change, and in the person of Honorable Dan Atai. He's a political economist and emancipator, and he's going to be adding his voice in the discourse already. A very good morning to you, Right Honorable Dan Atai.
Good morning.
Yes, that's right. Welcome to the discourse. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. Welcome to a brand new week, Honorable.
Thank you.
Right.
Good morning to you too, Honorable Dan Atai.
Can you hear us, Honorable?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it has come to limelight the fact that Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has come out to attributing the slow pace of election offense prosecutions to the fact that electoral offenses are not time bound and that it affects the speedy dispensation of justice. Now, just before now, we have not seen him come out to make bold, conversations in this regard. But just recently, he had come out, to make this, bold remark. And I'd like to ask you, because over time, you have been all about the electioneering process. I remember you always talk about the process, that if the process is not sane, if the system is not sanitized, if the justice is not, delivered as and when due, then we may not be able to indeed get the justice that we deserve, or pilot the affairs of democracy in Nigeria. What are your thoughts about this, Right Honorable Dan Atai?
First of all, Mr. Udwa, thank you very much for this opportunity. And let me also thank Eagle FM for always doing a good job on national issues and national politics.
Right.
You see, Mr. Udwa, any democratic nation that has electoral flaws is not democratic yet. Take that as number one. Then number two, any democratic nation that the masses, the electorate votes cannot count, we are not practicing democracy yet, but a kind of dictatorial regime in Agbada. Number three, Mr. Mahmoud Yakubu, a professor of high repute that knows the nitty-gritty of what the independent National Electoral Commission ought to be, and the resources and the equipment that they ought to have, which they have. I'm aware how President Buhari approved how many billions to them. I heard a program on national TV on several amounts of billions of naira that President Buhari released to them to reform the INEC and make sure that they have everything, including digital voting system. Now, I don't think Professor Yakubu Mahmoud has a local standard to criticize perhaps the judicial slow pace on electoral matters. One, because in the first instance, electoral matters that elect executives and legislators are not supposed to be handled or deliberated by the judiciary, by the citizens who are the electors. That is number 4, if you are getting me. Let me repeat it again.
All right.
That electoral matters are not supposed to be decided by the judiciary, which is an arm of government though, not an agency. Judiciary is an arm of government that interprets law, isn't it? Now, It is supposed to be decided by the electorate that cast their votes. If their vote is truly biometric, digitally, and cannot and should not be denied by any means possible. Take an example from the recent election in the US. Those who are the mother, let me say the mother of the word democracy. Did you hear Mr. Trump or Mr. Biden or anybody going to court in the US over electoral matter? It will not happen because they have made it. They have made the deliberate choice, not deliberate mischief. They have made a deliberate choice to ensure that the institution of democracy, namely the Independent National Electoral Commission, must be viable, must be seen to have everything that makes democracy function in terms of electioneering, electing leaders, and even overseeing leaders' affairs and parties' affairs. We have the Republican Party, we have the Democratic Party in the United States of America. Even in the United Kingdom, all the various parties, Labour parties, this party, have you seen anyone taking electoral matter to the judiciary to correct them? No, because they have biometric digital voting system. And the election can even commence a year before the day of ceremony. A year before the day from elections in the US. But a year plus before the day of election. Trump presidential election was not conducted just last month, January 20th. It began in 2023. People have started casting their election. And it is irreversible. When you put your biometrics, you have made a choice. You have made a choice of whom you want to vote for. In all the elections, it is biometrical, it is digital. But here in Nigeria, there is a bureaucratic system of corruption where people believe that they are overpopulated more than the other region, or a particular region will say they are not educated like the other region, and therefore it has to militate against civility, against citizens' franchises. And it is painful that even religion can decide the affairs of our constitutional mandate and human rights. How would you call that kind of country a nation that wants to progress in a democracy? We have heard one presidential aspirant say that his own people in the north are not digitally inclined, and therefore there should be no need for digital voting system. If we have digital voting system, do you think that electoral matters will go to court before the judiciary begin to interpret technicalities or issues that are electoral law? No. But why the deliberate mischief that the government seems to be looking for solution in a problem is created. Why should you create a problem? Deliberately create a problem. Deliberately look for and say your masses cannot do population census in biometric. Your masses, your citizens cannot vote electronically to make the choice of who needs them. Then from there you vote, you ring the vote, you mess this up, you bring even the security operatives that are supposed to protect the citizens' lives and property to malhandle them. You induce elections, you pump out billions to induce elections to buy votes. Are you supposed to buy votes? Are you supposed to induce any electorate? When you have parties manifestos, when you have individual blueprints, when you have those things and you are following your manifesto, you don't need to read the election. People will ordinarily stay in their house and vote for you, and their vote will count. They are all need to come on the day that matters and submit the voters' sheet.
All right.
Let us do what is proper in a democracy. Okay, in the last presidential election, Nigerian population ordinarily is more than 250 million population. Let me say 300 already. Let's say the voter population is about 190 million. How many people elected our president in the last election? Just 8.something million. A nation like Nigeria and the electorate 8 million alone will produce president. It absurd in any nation. And that is why our electoral college we need to form the electoral colleges by state so that we can interfere. Hello?
Yeah,
yes,
go ahead.
Yes, so that we can interfere and adjudicate the interest that matters in our electoral process. What do I mean by that? States like Kano, for instance, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and which other states which are the very foremost largest nations states in this country. They are not supposed to produce 3 senatorial districts the way we have it, so that we can count that they have more electoral colleges in terms of decisions, in terms of electoral votes. Let me not even go into that. The problem of electoral delay or judicial delay in electoral processes will continue to haunt us because it is not the solution. The solution is biometric digital. And once you have that, you don't need any judiciary to even set up any panel before they decide. That is why I told you that Trump never went to any electoral whatever where he lost the last election. And now that he won this election, he didn't go to approach any court.
Okay.
Any court before he didn't even consider what is that lady? That woman that contested with Trump. There was nothing like going to court because the system is just too transparent. And we can do it. If we could digitalize the Central Bank of Nigeria and all the commercial banks of Nigeria, and they are effectively working, and I can pay my house, transfer money from my account to the app, I can pay my house, receive money through my account, and you are telling me that it is not possible because they will hack the INEC system. It is only foolish people that you can tell that kind of story, uncivilized people.
Okay.
This is the 21st century and everything is digital.
Right, Honorable.
Honorable, thank you for that submission. I mean, whilst you're optimistic that if we are really able to digitize the electoral process by way of maybe, having the biometrics and people not having to step out of their homes to go cast their votes, that would perhaps block the loopholes. And, Nigerians who are in the habit of, inducing electorates or even buying votes or snatching ballot boxes or just going to the polling units. Okay, so now the question would be that are you also insinuating that our electoral laws, they are not robust enough? And if that is the case, what exactly do you think can be done at this point in time, aside digitalizing the electoral process, to block the loopholes such that it will not allow offenders to escape prosecution?
You cannot create a loophole deliberately and then you are asking how to get solution. This thing is just simple, my sister. I just did analysis of the central bank that controls all the commercial banks. And you have an account with the commercial banks. They took your biometric system called BVS, Bank Verification Number. And who told you that INEC does not have a website and an app that all Nigerians can use, like the CBN, like the commercial banks, where it cannot be hacked? Because your BVN
Honorable Dan, sorry to butt you. Just to bring, put this in real quickly, that not every Nigerian belongs to the banked, population category. There are people who actually fall under the unbanked population. So maybe that's the reason why it's quite seamless for the CBN and commercial banks to operate digitally.
In order to add to it, to Honorable, apologies that we will have to go on a recess now. Just pay some bills. We'll come back and we'll have you have your reaction, to that. But then conversation is still trending on here, and this is Eagles Outlook. Let's go on a recess. We'll be right back.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Kai, oga, wannan injin naka ya gaji fa.
Amma ka san da haka kuma ka bari na kashe kuɗi na?
Oga, ba laifi na bane. Ka san injin nan naka.
Kuma yanzu kake faɗa mun haka?
To ai nayi na gyara injin nan, amma injin nan naka yaki.
Ku jira aka yi.
Ka san cewa injin motocinka da na janareto suna buƙatar mai kyau yadda ya kamata? Ita ce ta hanyar sayan mai inganci. Shi yasa matatar man Dangote ta tace muku man fetur zuwa RON, wato tsaftataccen mai wanda shine ingantaccen man fetur din da zaka iya dogaro ko amincewa da shi a dukkanin injinan ku. Lokaci yayi da za ku kula da injinan ku, sai man Dangote mai inganci.
Has anyone told you you can talk about your business on radio for just
20,000 naira?
Get a chance to talk your business for 25 minutes on The Entrepreneur. Mondays to Fridays, 3 p.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM, Abuja. For more inquiries, call 090-9984-4433. 090-9984-4433. Hurry now.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
And yes, we're back from recess now. 32 minutes gone past the hour of 9 on the AM side, and it's still Eagles Outlook, where we talk politics and current affairs. You can also add your voice in the discourse already. 0907 353 0044. Now, that's the number that you should stick to as we go conversational this morning. Our guest has been Right Honorable Daniel Atai, is a political emancipator. Hello. Welcome back, Right Honorable.
Yes.
Yes.
I think the other lady asked a question before you went on that subject.
Yeah.
Could you explain that question again, please? I wasn't hearing it.
Yes, you actually you try to do a little bit of comparison that if the central bank can have a digital system where the accounts of people can be tracked and monitored, and even the commercial banks, people can transact from the comfort of their homes using their mobile phones seamlessly. Then why can't we get it rightly in when it comes to the conduct of elections? And then I just pointed out that the reason perhaps as to why the banks are having it seamlessly is because we have a large number of Nigerians who are unbanked. So maybe that is the reason why it's quite easy for these banks to operate seamlessly, digital wise. But can that really be the case? When it comes to conducting election, do you not think it'll be quite a Herculean task for the electoral umpire if we have to vote electronically, taking a look at the population, the size, of
my sister, that is maintained. Number one, those who are qualified to even operate to be registered, to be eligible voters in the country, they are from 18 years and above, according to our constitution. And when you want to calculate the population of those eligible voters from 18 years and above, that is 18 to above 55 and so on, they have the right to vote in a democracy. And it is even compulsory in our constitution that they demonstrate their citizens' franchise, their citizens' right. That in a democracy, it is obliged on every citizen to cast their vote and also be voted for. If you once you are eligible to vote, he should also be eligible to be voted for.
That's right.
There is no stereotyping about your religion, no stereotyping about your tribe, no stereotyping about even your education qualification. But in our case, we added those things into the electoral law just to make it sweet and make it look as if it is very transparent and honest. Our electoral system is not transparent, and Professor Mahmoud Yakubu knows. Our electoral system too is not honest. It's not hinged on patriotic civility. It is not hinged on it. And the INEC boss knows. I challenge him to a debate. You know, as Democrats, we know that people easily rig election and they tell you to go to court in this country. They deliberately created that loophole. What will you say? Or what will you say when a man tells you that he wants to count, he wants to do INEC registration exercise, and people from 18 years should come out and register, and then you go, you queue, you even struggle to get registered. You travel from maybe Abuja, Port Harcourt, Kaduna, so maybe to a village or wherever you want to do it. You do it, you are captured biometrically. They even ask you to put your thumbprint to capture it biometrically, and refuse to digitalize the biometric system that they use in capturing you. They capture your face, they capture your fingerprints, and then they capture your word and where you are going to vote from. They capture your age and everything, and then they go back to tell you that, look, we have captured you, but we are going to vote using analog. What kind of system is that? You tell me. It is possible for us to have the same app. As you have captured us digitally, let us vote digitally. It is simple as everything, and there is no fraud in it. And once we don't do that, from the aspect of the National Assembly to the aspect of the executive power, Mr. President, to that of the INEC, I said it is a deliberate mischief to just continue rigging election. And if we want to be transparent and to be honest and to make participatory citizens' right to vote and be voted for, then we should go into digital system of voting, biometric system of voting, so that we don't even have to struggle to go and vote. You can be anywhere and vote as long as you are a Nigerian. And this goes to NIMSI too. The NIMSI are supposed to have done data harmonization, biometric data harmonization, and these are where the National Assembly are supposed to be looking into as we gear towards 2027. Because if we continue to have this kind of electoral process, that tomorrow we go to court, somebody will tell you go to court, you go and give billions to one corrupt judge, and the corrupt judge will look for technicality in the constitution and the electoral law and interpret it differently, and they say the status quo remains, that judges are called in the affairs of men. I don't want to use certain language.
All right.
But we are not in a banana republic, please.
Understood. Right, Honorable. We'll let you, and it will let you out right now, so you can also follow the discourse, across social media platforms, and then we'll get back with you at the very end so that you can have your final thoughts, in the conversation as it progresses. Right. Right. Now, yes, that's the right Honorable right there. One thing that he said that is quite striking was that electoral matters are to be decided by the electorates and not the judiciary. Well, we'll take this call now.
Hello and good morning.
All right, there is a bit of a hiccup now. You might as well want to revert to the other number, 0908 766 8888. All right, that would be 0908 766 8888. Call that number, and we would not be having a hiccup, right? Quite a number of things have been said, and we've also seen your contributions. Oh my faith, let's look into some of these messages via the WhatsApp portal already.
All right. Abbas reporting from Dutse says, good Good morning, Sayudi and Amoefe.
Good morning to you
We have
too.
3 arms of government in Nigeria: the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. Both the legislative and executive promulgate laws. Why can't we have same situation where the judiciary can also make laws concerning itself rather than, wait for the legislative and executive to be making laws, right, on its behalf? This is one way to improve on the judicial process, just like in South Africa and other countries. This will provide for speedy dispensation of justice on any matter, not only election matters. Nigerian judiciary system or judicial system needs a serious restructuring, or you think it has to be revamped, and all solutions should come from the judiciary. He's went further to say that point of correction to the guests now, that Trump did contest his re-election, which he lost in 2020 in court, claiming there was widespread irregularities. And according to him, there is no perfect system anywhere. Whether we use digital or not, problem will still arise. It's not going to be 100% perfect. But let's hear from this family member.
Right. Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yes.
Dr. Prince Ike on the line.
All right, Dr. Prince Ike, welcome
Because
aboard.
what is the topic? Don't be offended, please, so that I will not grasp one.
Sorry?
What is the topic? So that I will not grasp one.
Prince Ike, you might want to listen through so that you get the topic. We've been talking on Professor Mahmood's, assertion where he's looking into prosecution, why persecution of electoral offenders is quite slow.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You might.
My elbow and also a comfortable man. Anyway, without much ado, the problem we are having is how to get our politics or leadership qualities into what high point of comfortability so that everything can follow. Assuming that you have a good electoral system. In fact, every other thing will follow. Communication will follow. Industrialization will follow. Discipline will return into the society. And not only that, education will be order of the day. But the problem is that this issue of electoral maligness, whereby somebody who does not win the election will be declared as a winner. Now, a professor of maybe 42 times is a professor understanding by mitigating action against one another. Good buying. This type of politics, money buy politics should be minimized. Can't it be like other nations like United States of America? On 5th day of the war, November last year, 2024, you see how they have openly elected the recent president of the nation without any hitches, without any discussion of their life and property, without any mayhem. Can't we be like them? We are having to a big amount of some processes. But the problem we are having, how to make 100 years to come, God forbid, I'm not permitting, but I'm trying to be optimistic in nature. If we can never be addressed, then we will not move forward.
All right.
And all these corrupt that have been coming here and there, making a hair where there's nothing like sunshine. Supposed to work in mind. How are we going to, set it right? For us to have a good work, electoral empire chairman, president of the INEC, understand the fact that he knows what is good. Anything that is affecting him will affect the whole nation. I don't blame them. They have good money, free car.
All right, Dr. Prince, for want of time. Yeah,
everything
for want of time. Yes.
I appreciate. Men,
Dr. Prince,
of this country are suffering.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a pleasant day, my dear.
Thank you. Let's always ensure to also listen, through to the discourse. This is not to say that, Doctor, you've been very far away from the conversation. No, that's not what I'm saying. But probably if you had followed through from the very start, you would have a proper guidance, on the topical issue. But still, we appreciate you. Let's take this one here now. Hello and good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Elder. Onaja.
Good morning. My people.
Very well.
Thank you.
Where you calling
from? Am I with you there?
Yes, please. We're with you.
Okay.
Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Kuba in Abuja here.
Talk to us, Elder.
You see, we always say this. I want to ask you this question. America, do you say President of America appointed upon the INEC chairman? No. Could you buy figure where it feed you? The way our election system in Nigeria here, you can never work when the president of the country will appoint a chairman of the INEC. And then too, you are talking about trial of election. We have said it last time. You see, if I'm a governor in Kogi State, and then during election, I mobilize talk to win election for me. The commissioner of police in Kogi State will arrest them. I charge it to a magistrate court because it's a criminal offense. Hello?
Yes, please.
It's a criminal offense. And then I governor of Kogi State upon that magistrate court. And then you say this court will win election for me. You can't try them. If you try them, I deal with you. And then the commissioner of police insists, I will frustrate him in Kogi State. I can never give anything from government house to him. And there will cause problem between the government and him. In Kogi State, frustrate me until he leaves Kogi State. That's the reason. I want to ask Prince Atai, the place where he came from, where they elect him, Ochadam, is under election. The time where the mother Salome in Ochadam. You see how they try the case. The principal offense, they come the offense that will make the violent comment. And then how many years the sentence, I think, 5 years or something like that. That woman has gone for nothing. Because it was opponent a political party, ruling party by that time. So the system we are using in Nigeria here, the governor can never use talk, and then win election, he try those talk, and then the case of a political disease is under the state government. You can't try them in federal high court. That's the problem. So the system we are using in Nigeria, it can never work. When the president of the country appoint the chairman of INEC, no, the last election is free court. All the cases where they bring is technical knockout. They not say that the president government win election, but all the cases where they bring against them, is technical knockout.
All right,
knockout. So we can't. The system we are using in Nigeria is favor this political party, favor the ruling party, favor every politician. We can't be reviewed. Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder, for your contribution right there.
Well, was the number still open? I mean, for your engagement, right? That will be 0908 766 8888. And Professor Mahmoud Yakuba coming out, the INEC chairman now, to saying that, well, there's a reason behind the slow pace, of prosecution of electoral offenders. Could this be a wake-up call? I mean, in deciding what the future will be for the upcoming electioneering processes in the country. But we have a message from yet another family member now, Yusuf, and then we'll get back to seeing how we can go into a conclusion on this.
All right, Yusuf from Wusetu says, good morning, UD and Moefe and
morning.
The guest. To me, the slow pace of prosecution of electoral offenders is not only because prosecution is not time-bound, but because these offenses are committed on behalf of politicians, some of whom may be in the corridor of power. Also, prosecution cannot be effective if card-carrying members of political parties are appointed as INEC officials, or if all our security outfits, such as the army, the police, judiciary, and others, are not perceived as partisan in our electoral process. Have a nice day. Right. Now, the INEC boss, that is Mahmoud Yakubu, well, he is actually lamented and somewhat to exonerate the commission from these anomalies associated with our electoral process in the country. And according to him, unlike post-election petitions that have strict timelines. Electoral offences can take years to resolve, often extending into subsequent election cycles. And he explained that, recently they just, finalized the case of an officer, a returning officer in Akwa Ibom State, and it took nearly 6 years to conclude. And that is just an example of the slow pace of justice he is talking about. But if we have a situation whereby our magistrate and state high court are saddled with the responsibility of prosecuting electoral offences, coupled with other issues like criminal cases that they also have, within the purview to take care of, what would you now suggest as a citizen, right? Should there be special, courts? Indeed, to try, electoral offences, maybe that would speed up, the justice, system or justice at the end of the day, and probably discourage people from even engaging in, electoral malpractice or malpractices in the future. What exactly are your thoughts? Let's see if we can get answers to all of these questions right before we link up with our guest, Honorable Dan Atai, to
put a capping, summation on all that. But if realistically, if you think about, that question that you asked, quite a number of, Nigerians and political electioneering observers have also come out to saying that, look, it will be mission impossible. It will be a forfeited plan to want to raise an electoral court, separately from, what we know as it is, because there'll be a clash of interest. There'll be a time, of course, would you say that these electoral courts are bigger than the Supreme Court? When the Supreme Court still comes out and gives you a final verdict on some of these matters?
If we have a situation whereby the bulk of work will be reduced on, our state high courts and the magistrate, because they have other issues really to deal with. But let's hear from this family member.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
I can one thing. No, special court or no special court, who is going to appoint them? Are you going to buy the things that will feed you?
Right.
If the state government appoint them, and then the governor use them to win election, I they appoint you as a judge now. A case of interest, go to your court and then rule against of me. And then we pull you out for nothing. That's why politicians, that's why election, all this things can't work in Nigeria.
Okay.
The people ring the election. They are doing it for somebody, and then that person is in power.
Okay.
And they are not going to send them to talk. And then I happen to win election for you. And then they say they went to try it, they are not under your court. Are you going to agree? That's why you see all these election people.
Yeah.
They can't appoint American, president of American, they don't appoint INEC chairman.
Okay.
All right,
Elder,
thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Elder, echoing those thoughts right there. But yeah,
I mean, one would fear that we might not really get it rightly. I mean, if we have this fear that it's a case of dog eats dog, you understand? But let's link up with Honorable Dan Atai.
Right.
To react.
Well, linking up with Honorable Dan Atai right now, and just to also let you in on the fact that you can join the conversation across social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube at Eagles FM Abuja, as we look into the topical issue together. I mean, it's more like we're writing on pure gold. So, prosecution of election offences and its impact on democracy is what we are looking at right there. We still see you trying to put a call through, but no, that would not be the time. This would not be the time to take these calls. But still trying to connect with our guest. Whilst we are doing that, there is a need to also call for a joint effort. I mean, everybody, especially now that the INEC boss had come out to saying that, look, as it stands, there is a need to look into matters that concern the delays, that ensue from the format of prosecuting electoral, issues and all of that. Everybody has to join hands. I mean, stakeholders, you and I, have to also be a part of the system, because it doesn't just do at saying that, okay, this is what he said, this is what should be done, this is what the judiciary should look like, but it is also our responsibility. Right, Honorable, trying to connect with you, but finding it quite a hard time, and time is not on our side. You might want to just give us a very maybe 1 minute wrap, please, if you can, to some of these thoughts as a conclusion.
Yes, what it is the country, the National Assembly, namely both arms, the Senate arm and the House of Representatives, they should deliberately, while reforming the Constitution now, and we don't know whether that will happen between now and 2027, they should deliberately ensure biometric digital voting system in the country to make our democracy viable. You cannot be allocating billions of naira to INEC to conduct an analog election for crying out loud. Taking materials from one place to the other, taking this is uncalled for. Let us have digital bank, digital voting system that is purely biometric.
Okay.
It is possible. It is possible.
It is possible. Right. We appreciate your thoughts. I mean, from where you are, Right Honorable, even, come rain, come sun, you have always, never relented in adding your voice, towards giving Nigeria a new trajectory, as you always like to say. And we appreciate this, in no small way. Thank you. We look forward to more conversation with you in the coming days.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Honorable Dan.
Right. And to each and every one of us, from all the four winds of Abuja, of course, the earth, watching and being a part of this, we appreciate you. And this is also to say that your verdicts and your thoughts has not been influenced by us, by Eagles FM in any ways or in any form. Neither has the thoughts of the guest also been influenced by us in any way or any form. The idea is for us to speak truth to leadership and power and ensure that there is a change, and that change happens now, not tomorrow. Right. My name is Udwak Daniel, and I am with
Omoefe Peace or Semera. The next hour promises to be more interesting. You've got absolutely no reason to touch the dial.